Right. Hi. Good evening, everyone. It's Lee here from Premier Training. We're back for our next Facebook Live session, and as you can see, I'm joined by Sam tonight. Sam Hannigan, the program leader at Premier Training, and it's an interesting one tonight. It's one we've had so many questions about over the last few weeks. It's about just advanced synoptic and spreadsheets assessments, because it's going to be two assessments going forward, as I understand it. But I'm not going to sort of babble on too much, because I'm as in the dark as a lot of other people at the moment, and Sam's got all the answers. So hi, how are you, Sam? Are you okay this evening?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
That's good. That's good. So yeah, we're all here to find out a bit more, okay, Sam, and hopefully you've got all the answers.
But if I won't go that
far. As Sam's talking, if you've got any questions, pop them in the Facebook comments if you're watching this live, and I'll make sure we flag them up, and we'll try and answer them. And if we can't answer them live, we'll go away and find the answers from the AAT. So yeah, Sam, what's happening with the advanced synoptic assessment then?
Okie doke then. So obviously, from everybody's heard, there's been a lot of communication going out from the AAT to students that from September 2021 there will be changing the advanced synoptic. So before, we used to call it the ABSE, and it had two parts to it, and you started part one. When part one was finished, your time was up, you then went straight on to the second part, which was the spreadsheets. Now, the reason behind the change, I'll just give a little bit of background, is that it's been down to malpractice. So that means that it could be at the centre where the live exam paper has been left open. There's been students taking photos of the content. There has been screenshots made of the content. Hence the reason the AAT have had no choice but to do this to the synoptics. So it is been now separated into two exams, okay? So the first one is what we now call the ADSY. So it's gone from AVSY to ADSY, and this is the first part of the exam. So the time has been increased to 2.5 hours on this one. There has been no content change, so it still relates to advanced bookkeeping, final accounts prep, management accounting, costing, and ethics, okay? What they have done is they've added written tasks, which is task 3 and 4, which relates to management accounting, costing, and ethics, okay? So I wanted to come on tonight just to reassure students to say that there has been no content change whatsoever. So what you have learned is what's going to be asked in the exam. However, again, there's the written element, which we all know, and at Premier we work long and hard with students to get that written element, to a high level, because it does contain quite a few marks. The cost of the ADSY is £54, so there has been a slight increase on that, plus any centre invigilation fee due to invigilation and admin, okay, but that's down to each individual centre. But the AAT are charging £54 for the actual assessment, okay? So it can be booked in at any centre. Obviously, you want to have made sure you've done the core elements first, and as a program manager and as a tutor, I cannot reiterate enough the importance. If you have got a training provider, especially with our students, do our assignments, do our practice assessments. We've updated the practice assessment for ADSY so that you've got the the up-to-date content, not content, but the way that the exams laid out, so it gets you used to it. So it's really, really important to make sure you're doing all the work. The one big thing about this AVSY changing to ADSY plus spreadsheets is that you are going to need a centre. You can't do this as self-study, which is one thing that's come out of this. Now, and this is purely because of the spreadsheet section, which I'm just going to go on to now. So once you've done your ADSY will become part of your AAT qualification. Okay, so it's taken into account in your grading. So if you're wanting to get your pass merit distinction, that is part of it. The spreadsheet section isn't. However, without the spreadsheet, you cannot gain the full qualification. Okay, so it's really important that you just don't think, oh well, I've done my ADSY, I'm not going to bother with spreadsheets. You need the spreadsheet to gain the qualification, but the spreadsheet is not going to influence the pass merit or distinction. It's a competent, not yet competent. Okay, so the spreadsheet section has been increased to 2 hours. Okay, the feedback from the AAT is that they have done this because of speaking to providers, speaking to students, and they feel that 2 hours is a fair amount for students. You know, some might do it in an hour. That's absolutely fine. Okay, but they feel that 2 hours is more than enough to be able to get all students through it, because the feedback has been there wasn't enough time in spreadsheets to complete it. Okay, now the biggest difference with this is obviously to avoid malpractice, students cannot download the workbook. It cannot be printed. Okay, so exam centres need to make sure they've got 2 screens. Okay, now what's going to happen is on the old AVSY, the tasks on spreadsheets was in with the spreadsheet. It's not. It's going to be on the task section on its own. That's why you need a second screen. So as you're going along, you will be able to highlight the tasks on one screen to say you've done that. Okay, so it's not that you're going to forget, or you know, you're gonna lose focus and not know where you are. You can highlight it on screen to say, I've done that task, now I need to move on to the next one. Okay, there's 5 tasks in the assignment. Okay, so it's important that all tasks are completed. Again, there is no content change. If you've had any correspondence from AAT and they've mentioned changing, what they've done is they've changed the weighting of some of the questions. So where it might have been, say, I don't know, 10 marks, it could now be 12 marks. Okay, so the content has not changed. The weighting of some of the questions have changed. So I know we've had students emailing in saying, what content have they taken out, what have they added? They haven't taken out anything or added anything. Okay, so nobody's going to be disadvantaged. We're just wanting to reassure you, you know, that it hasn't changed, and you know, the knowledge you've got, as long as you've work through all your assignments and your practice assessments, you will be ready for the assessment. Now, the biggest change to this one, so students might have seen correspondence mentioning 7 days, 3 days. Now, what's happened is as distance learning students, the AAT have recognised that there is no way that distance learning students can't go into a centre to sit this exam. Okay, so you need to go to a centre to sit the assessment, and the reason behind it is because we have to sign to say that it is your own work, and unfortunately the only way we can do that is by invigilating it or having a centre invigilate it. So what you need to do is, when you book at a centre, there is no, the AAT aren't charging an exam fee for this. However, there will be an invigilation and admin fee from the centre. So it depends on what the centres are charging. You know, some might be charging less than others. Okay, so when you go, it is a 2-hour assessment. You'll notice that 3 days is mentioned. Okay, the 3 days doesn't mean that you can go download the assessment, have a look through it, go back the next day and then start the assessment. You have to do the assessment in 2 hours. Okay, the 3 days is there because if we need to, you know, if there's any student, for example, sending off work-based evidence and they want to upload it, this won't be for distance learning students. But if there is students out there that are, you know, are sending off work-based evidence, the 3 days allows for the work-based evidence to be sent in, authenticated, uploaded, and then authentication sent to the AAT. Now, what happens is when the students have sat this spreadsheet assessment, at the end of it, they will click close assessment and finish later. So they are not responsible for submitting it to the AAT. What they are responsible for is making sure that they've uploaded the evidence and the student has signed an authentication declaration or a declaration of authenticity, whatever they want to call it. This is the student saying they will take responsibility and it is their own work. Okay, and that is a really big thing. The next part then is where the centre has to sign to say that we have invigilated the student and we can safely say that it is the student's own work. So the centre will sign a declaration of authenticity, and it is the centre's responsibility to upload and submit the work to the, not upload, sorry, to submit the work to the AAT. Okay, once that's done, that's it. It's with the AAT. It is marked by the AAT, and the results will appear in 6 weeks. Now, obviously, you know, sometimes things happen. So, for instance, if a student or a centre forgets to sign and upload the declaration of authenticity, you must tell the centre, and the centre must fill out a form that says that there's been some, you know, like an exam issue. So I can't remember what it's called. What's it normally called when if it's, so like the, you know, like if there's an admin error or something like that. So what we have to do is we have to then make sure that one of those is signed off and sent to AAT, and then we can ask for the declaration to be uploaded later. Okay, so it's one of those, it's not there's no changes. I think people have panicked because they've said, you know, it's happening in September, but we have only just started. Well, we've just had it all clarified, all the information, and that's why we just wanted to, you know, share with everybody. Now, in relation to the sitting, obviously the ADSY is going to be open on certain dates, so just like it has been previously. What you could do, you could also sit the spreadsheet section in the afternoon if you choose to. There's nothing stopping you doing that. However, you can then go and, or you can sit the spreadsheet section on a different day. Yeah, it's an incident report. That's it. Thanks, Lee. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that students, first and foremost, they are ready for this. And the way they're going to get ready for it is by, if you're with a training provider, complete your assignments, complete your practice assessments, make sure you've passed the mandatory units. We have noticed that students that have passed the mandatory units have done a lot better when it comes to the synoptic part of it. Now, just another thing, there is obviously new standards coming out next year. I'm not going to talk too much about that at the minute. We are going to do another Facebook Live on that. However, I'm just going to say to students, if you are hanging on and you to start the Q22 standards next year because you don't want to do the synoptic, don't. Because if you've passed the mandatory units, and say, for instance, you've got merit or distinction in them, and you think, no, I don't want to do synoptic, I'm going to wait. When it comes to February next year and you transfer to Q22 standards, you will only transfer at a pass at 70%. So your merit or distinction has then gone. Okay, so please, we've got a lot of fantastic students at Premier, you know, and it makes me proud to tutor them. And I know my team of tutors and course advisors we all sing praises of all our students. So please don't think that it's going to be easier, because it's not, because there's going to be these big changes coming in Q22. So we are going to have one of our tutors talking about that. So I'm not going to steal his limelight. I'm hoping it's Peter that's going to do it, by the way. But I just want students to know that if that's what you're waiting for, don't. If you need any advice, you need any reassurance, you need to discuss it, please, you know where we are. But, you know, don't sit back and wait. Get it done. If you're on level 3 now, get level 3 out of the way and start level 4 on Q 2022. Don't transfer, because you're going to waste so much. And like I say, units are changing. So please just bear that in mind, but we will go into it a little bit more. Okay, so I'm hoping that will clear up a lot of the questions that we have had. If there is any more questions, please fire away. That's what we're here for. And like I say, you know, don't be worried about it. We're here to support you, but we need you to keep asking us. Okay? Can you sit the spreadsheet?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions there, Sam, aren't there? I think you can see those as well. I think Monica asked the first one. She just said, "Are they 2 different assessment sittings?" Which they are, aren't they?
Yes, yeah. But like I said, Monica, if you want to sit the ADSY in the morning and then the spreadsheets in an afternoon, you are more than welcome to do that. A lot of students will want to do that because they'll want to get it done and out of way. Okay.
Yeah, David's asked, can you sit the spreadsheet exam before the AAT exam, Sam?
Yes, I believe you can, because remember, the spreadsheet exam is not part of the overall, you know, your pass, merit or distinction. It's a competent or not yet competent. So yes, I believe that it's going to be open, and it is good. You know, you've got to book it through a centre to make sure that it's available for you.
Okay, and then the next one from Chippy. We've got a few questions coming in. We've got Chippy says, I've just finished spreadsheets. I'm working on ethics, nearly finished that, and was about to start preparing for the Synoptic. What would you recommend I do now? Okay,
so if you finish spreadsheets, what you could do is you're more than welcome to do that first come September, if that's what you choose to do. You might want to put that on hold, concentrate on ethics, and then go back and just revise the mandatory units. It's entirely up to you, Chippy, but I know you've got the ability to do this whichever way you choose. So, but some students might think the ADSY is the one where you've got a lot of knowledge to remember, okay, because you're looking at advanced bookkeeping, final accounts, management accounting, costing. So a lot of students are going to focus on that. And then you see, because spreadsheets is on its own, it's a bit like indirect tax, because that sits on its own. So students might want to do the ADSY first, and then the spreadsheets is just going to be spreadsheet content. So we have had confirmation, and the words from the AAT were, let me just find it, was that the spreadsheet is not going to be testing accounting knowledge. It's going to have some kind of accounting theme, obviously, but it's not testing accounting knowledge. Okay, it's testing spreadsheet skills. Okay, so please don't think, oh, I've got to remember all this for spreadsheets, because you haven't. Okay, I think some students are going to find it I won't say easier, it's not easy, because otherwise we'd all be doing it. I think some students are going to feel better that it's 2 separate assessments, and it's giving them a bit more time, and they've not got to panic, because I do think the feedback from the students were, when you're going from an exam style to then spreadsheets, it caused a bit of kerfuffle, and everybody sent to panic a bit. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, students will start settling down now.
Yeah, and Ludmilla has said she only started level 3. I've only just started level 3, which means I most probably will have to sit Synoptic in 2022. Will changes in 2022 affect my marks or overall mark?
No, so what will happen is you will stay on the AQ 2016 standards. So we've got until June 2023 to finish 2016 standards, okay? So what I would suggest, and this is my professional opinion, I would suggest you stay with AQ 2016, you complete your level 3 on AQ 2016, and then you start your professional level on Q 2022. Okay.
Okay, and then we've got Chippy saying, brilliant, thanks, Sam. That's really helped. I was worried about it.
No worries.
David has said, as in, can I sit it? I'm not sure what he means by that. He's put, as in, can I sit it even from now? So it's from September, isn't it?
Yeah, it comes in September, David, 1st of September. I know Monica's put on there that the first assessment date might be October. That could be the ADSY date, okay? Because remember, this is a synoptic assessment. So the ADSY part is a synoptic still. So it could be that, because remember, with level 3 and 4 especially, it's limited on how many sittings it is. So if you go onto the AAT, the new calendar's available, so you can see what dates it's on. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Petros has put something similar there. She's put, I'm in a similar situation, plan to take the synoptic in September, but this came up. So I'm sitting spreadsheets in September, and we'll do the synoptic in the next window, which I think is November, which makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Excellent. Yeah. You know, and I think all I wanted to do tonight was just to reassure students and make sure that everybody's okay, and just explain that it's not as bad as what it first came over as. I think everybody went into panic mode, and us as a centre did, you know what, and me as a tutor, I'm like, oh, how are we going to do it? You know, we're distance learning, how do we do it? But you know, this is the best way forward. I do think it's going to be fantastic for students, and fingers crossed, you know, we'll get people now completing that advanced synoptic, ready to move on to level 4.
Yeah, and we've got Ludmilla saying thank you, much appreciated. Monica saying thank you so much. We've got Julianne asking a question there, which I think we've just answered. I've almost finished ethics, not sure if I have enough time to complete synoptic by September. So would I be better studying spreadsheets next than synoptic in November, which is what we've said is a great idea, haven't we? Yeah.
Absolutely, why not? You know, the thing is it's a good question, that, because what you don't want to do is be wasting time and thinking, right, or rushing it. You know what I mean? Don't rush to do it in September. There's going to be another sit-in. If you want to do the spreadsheets, get the spreadsheets done, and then you can go back and start refreshing for later on. So absolutely, yeah, do not rush it. You know, this is your career, and the one thing you don't want to do is start panicking and rushing it and not getting the grade that you desire just because you're rushing. So yeah, hang on there and do it in the next sitting.
Yeah, David said thank you as well. I think said Monica has said thank you, but everyone seems like the same sort of questions are coming up there, Sam. So hopefully we've sort of answered all those.
Fantastic.
This evening. Yeah, it looks like that. But as we said before, if you're watching this later, not watching it live, and you've got any questions that we haven't answered there, then pop them in the comments on Facebook, and we'll speak to. If we can't answer them, we'll speak to the AAT and we'll get an answer for you. That's right, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're here for. So, you know, and if you are getting ready to sit it, then we wish you all the luck in the world. And if you are a student with us at Premier, please do the new ADSY assessment, that practice assessment that's waiting for you, and make sure you've completed all your assignments, your practice assessments, and you've gained tutor feedback. You know, it really is valuable feedback. We don't just, you know, it's not auto text or anything like that. We're giving you your personal feedback because we want you to do your best and get the best out of it. So definitely good luck from us at Premier, and I hope everybody passes.
Right, I think we've covered all the questions there, Sam.
Excellent.
So but yeah, as I say, any questions, let us know. We're here to support you, our tutors, course advisors, Sam. Everyone wants to support you, so just let us know. And yeah, everyone enjoy the rest of your weeks. And I think I think me and Sam, we're going to go off and have you like a nice glass of prosecco, don't you, Sam?
Well,
and
we're both on annual leave, aren't we, Lee? So I think we earned that.
Yeah, I might have half a lager as well. So yeah, thanks very much, Sam, and thanks for everyone watching.
Have a great evening, everybody, and enjoy rest of your holiday, Lee, and I'll see you back in the office.
You too, Sam. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Take care. Bye.